Hello guys, welcome back. Myself Assistant Professor Gaurang Prajapati from Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari. Now, in the previous video, we have covered the first 7 steps of the design of unshrunken plate girder. Now, in this video, I am going to continue the design. So, first of all, let's start with the next step, that is step number 8, design of load carrying stiffener. So first of all, for that one we need to understand that what is load carrying stiffener. So load carrying stiffener, it transfers the load from top flange to the bottom flange to the web, through the web, sorry. Okay, so it will transfer the load from, say this one is my plate girder, then it will transfer load from this top flange to the, we can say, bottom flange. So in this one we need to consider the depth of the web. Okay, so in this stiffener, depth of the web is to be considered. Okay, it is provided at the intermediate places in the girder. Now load carrying stiffener should be provided where the compressive forces applied through a flange by loads or reactions access the buckling strength FCDW of the unstiffened web. Okay, so for that one, first of all we will use this formula of page number 67. Just a minute, let me take you to the code. Now just a minute, page number 67. Yeah, the criteria is over here. See, load carrying stiffener. See, load carrying web stiffener should be provided where the compressive forces applied through a flange by loads or reactions access the buckling strength FCDW, and the formula of FCDW is given over here, B1 plus N1 whole multiplied by TW, and then B1 the width of the stiff bearing length on the frame on the flange, and just a minute, talking about N1, that is dispersion of the load through the web at an angle of 45 degree to the level of half of the depth of the cross section. I have shown this figure in our material. Okay, I will explain that one over there. And then the last one, the buckling strength of this web above the axis parallel to the web is calculated as given in 7.1.2.1 using the curve C. Now what they have told us, that we can calculate this FCDW, this one, by using this formula, by using the curve C. Curve C means we can say FCD. We need to consider the design compressive strength, that is FCD. So ultimately FCD's formula will be this one, B1 plus N1 whole multiplied by TW into FCD. Okay, so let's go to the material. See this one. So ultimately the formula is FCDW is this one, B1 plus N1 whole multiplied by TW into FCD. Okay, unknown parameters, where B1, that is width of stiff bearing length on the flange, that is always taken as 0. Then we can say TW, that is thickness of web. Okay, and talking about N1, then what they have told us, that is load dispersion through 45 degree to the half of the depth of the cross section. Means N1 means, just a minute, see, when a load is applied like this on the flange, it will get dispersed, or we can say diversified, at an angle of 45 degree as per the code. Till how much depth? So till the depth of, we can say, half the depth of the cross section. This one is the half depth, overall depth, this one will be the half depth of the cross section. So ultimately N1 will be this dimension, this one is N1. Okay, so let's consider this triangle first of all. Just a minute, let's consider this triangle. Now over here 45 degrees, so ultimately this will also be 45 degree. Now this depth is, we can say, d by 2. So if I am concerned about this dimension, then it will be just because of 45 degree, it will also be d by 2. Okay, same criteria we need to follow in the right hand side triangle. Similarly, see, this one is 45 degree, so this one will also be 45 degree, so this one will also be d by 2. So ultimately we can say N1 equals to, you can say, 2 times d by 2. So ultimately it will be d. That's the criteria of N1. Okay, this one will be N1. Okay, so ultimately, as we discuss, N1 equals to 2 times d by 2, that is, we can say ultimately d, where d equals to overall depth of the cross section. We have already that dimension, and so, and the unknown is FCD. So for FCD we need to calculate, just a minute, see, for FCD stands for design compressive stress. Okay, and for that one we need to calculate the slenderness ratio. Formula of slenderness ratio is KL by RY equals to 2.43 times d by TW. Okay, where d and TW depth of wave, TW thickness of wave. So we will easily get KL by RY. See from where I get this formula. So I have given over here explanation. See, as per the page number 66, clause number 8.7.1.5 of IS 800, KL equals to 0.7 times d. Okay, and RY radius of gyration. Formula will be TW divided by root 12. Now once I do the ratio of these two terms, say KL by RY, 0.7 times d divided by TW divided by root 12, so I will get the answer 2.43 times d by TW. So I have got this formula from this explanation. Okay, you don't need to show any explanation in the exam, you can directly use this formula. KL by RY equals to 2.43 times d by TW. Once I will get this ratio, then using the table number 9C, using the interpolation method, I will get the FCD. And once I will get the FCD, I can easily calculate the criteria FCDW. This one. This FCDW indicates the buckling strength of the unstiffened wave. Means it will indicate the buckling strength of the wave. And it should be greater than, we can say, the factor load W. Okay. That is, I think, in our case it was, okay. In our case actually a point load is not given to us. Say over here, just a minute, in our example, this one, see, in our case only UDL load is given to us, that is 300 kilonewton per meter. So ultimately this load carrying stiffness check is usually provided for the, we can say, load for the factor point load. Now in this one, as factor point load is not given, so this step will not be included over here. I have explained it over here just because in each and every exam it is not necessary that they will ask only the UDL sum. Sometimes point load is also given to us along with the UDL. Okay, so let's get back to the sum. Just a minute. See, step number 8. Design of load carrying stiffener. So as there is no point load acting on the girder, load carrying stiffener are not required. So in this one we don't need to provide the check for the load carrying stiffener. Okay, and also this is a simple common sense that we are designing unstiffened blade girder, so ITS will never be there. Okay, we are just explaining why it is not going to provide like that. Otherwise we know that, okay, we are not going to provide the stiffener in this one. Then next one, that is the next step. So ultimately our step start with this one, step number 9, design of load bearing stiffener. Now in this one, design of load bearing stiffener, first of all these are the core criteria which we are going to use. Okay, then load bearing stiffener. In case of the load bearing stiffener, it prevents the flange buckling because of the action of load. So it will ultimately what it will do, it will prevent the flange buckling. Then in this one only the depth of the flange is to be considered. Okay, and then load bearing stiffener should be provided where forces applied through a flange by Lorentz reaction exceeds the local capacity of the wave, that is FW, and the formula of FW is given to us over here in this code. So first of all we will go to the code. Just a minute. So on the very same page of load carrying stiffener, page number 67, close is 8.7.4 bearing stiffener, and for that one formula is given to us. FW equals to B1 plus N2 whole multiplied by TW into FIW divided by gamma M1. Okay, unknown. B1 stiff bearing that, as we discussed in the previous step, it was always 0. N2 length obtained by dispersion through the flange to the wave junction at a slope of 1 jem 2.5 to the plane of the flange. Then TW thickness of wave, FIW yield stress. So we have all the data. So let's go to the material and solve the sum. Now, so local capacity of the wave, formula B1 plus N2 whole multiplied by TW into FIW by gamma M0 as per this course. Now talking about unknown term, so first of all B1, that is stiff bearing length, that is always assumed as 0 like previous step. Talking about N2, so for that one they have given in the code that N2 equals to length obtained by the dispersion to the flange to the wave junction at a slope of 1 gem 2.5 to the flange of the flange. So ultimately, let me go to take you to the theory. Just a minute. Yeah. See this one. As we have seen in the previous step, that when load applied on the flange, it will get diversified or dispersed at the angle of 45 degree over here. Okay, so we need to consider, in the previous case we considered the n1 up to the half depth of the section. See, like this we have considered this one up to the half depth, but in this one they have told us in the code that we need to consider only up to the thick junction of wave and flange, that is this one, of the ratio of 1 gem 2.5. so load is acting over here, it will get diversified like this at 45 degree up to the junction of flange and wave, that is up to the depth of TW, and in the ratio of 1 gem 2.5 times. So what we need to do, this thickness of flange multiply by, we can say 2.5 times, and as two thickness or two flanges are there, so multiply by 2. So ultimately N2 will be always be like this, 2 times TF into 2.5 times as per the description. So ultimately it will always 5 times TF. Okay, so let's go to the example. See, N2 twice TF multiplied by 2.5, ultimately 5 times TF. TF value is, we can say 50, so 5 times 50, answer will be 250. The remaining term TF, thickness of flange, that is 50, which I have put over here. TW, thickness of wave 16, and FIW, that is 250 and 1.10. So ultimately let's put down this all value in this formula. So ultimately B1, that is 0, N2, that is 250 whole multiplied by 16, that is TW, and FIW divided by gamma m0, that is 250 divided by 1.10. I will get the answer 9.09, sorry 909.09 into 10 raised to 3 Newton. Let's convert it into kilonewton. Means what does this indicate? The local capacity of the wave is how much? We can say it is 909.09 kilonewton. Now it just need to withstand the load at two places. Number one, at below the point load, and number two, at the support. Say over here in this case point load is not given in the data. So see, so now we will check this local capacity of the wave FW at support only. Why? Because as point load is not given in the data, or it is not acting on the girder. So I will check this one at the support. So at support, reactions Vz equals to 2160, that is step number 2, and FW, that is 909. What does this indicate? This is the local capacity of the wave. So wave can tackle 909 kilonewton load, and in response to that one, the total reaction maximum produces at the support is 2160. So it is not sufficient to carry out this support reaction load. So ultimately we need to provide the bedding stiffener at the support. See, this condition will never be satisfied in unstiffened plate gear. It is always like this. FW is never ever going to greater than Vz. So then and then we will provide the stiffener. So you will ask, sir, we are going to design unstiffened plate gear, then why we are providing bedding stiffener over here? So I have told you in the theory also that bedding stiffener means end bedding stiffener will always be there, whether you are designing a plate stiffened plate girder or unstiffened plate girder. So stiffener at the support will be necessary in each of the cases. So for that one, this condition will always be there. FW is not greater than, we can say, Vz. So we are going to provide the bedding stiffener. So now for providing bedding stiffener, we have to decide its first of all dimension. So in case of the dimension, we need its width as well as, we can say, its thickness, that is, we can say BQ, that stands for width of stiffener, and TQ, that is thickness of stiffener. So first criteria, let's talk about thickness. Assume the thickness of the stiffener equals to thickness of wave, that is 16 mm. So first criteria is that the thickness of stiffener, that is 16 mm as per the wave criteria. Then let's talk about its width. So for first of all width, we need to clarify that with how much dimensions are there available for the stiffener to provide. So for that one, what we need to do, see, this one is our BF, width of stiffener. This one is our TW, thickness of wave. Now we are going to provide stiffener in these places at the sides of the wave, on both sides, like this. We have already seen this one in the theory. So how much space is available? First of all, calculate this one. So this one will be BF minus this TW divided by 2. So ultimately I will get these dimensions. Okay, so BQ, that is width of stiffener, this one is the BQ. Okay, so width of stiffener should be less than BF minus TW divided by 2. So ultimately I will get idea that how much space is available for me to provide the stiffener. Over here we can see this much depth is available for us. Okay, so now BF, that is 650, TW, that is 16 divided by 2. So I will get the answer 317 mm. Means I have 317 mm space on the both sides of the wave. I cannot go beyond the 317 mm. So for that one, they have given us the criteria for the width of the stiffener also in the code, that is on the page number 65. So we will go to the page number 65. So for that one, page number 65, (8.7.1.2) outside of the wave stiffener. So unless the outer edges continuously stiffen, the outside from the face of the wave should not exceed 20 TQE. So this one is the maximum criteria given to us, maximum width of stiffener, that is 20 TQ epsilon. Then when the outside of the wave is between 14 TQ epsilon and 20 TQ epsilon, then the stiffener design should be on the basis of the core section with an outside of 14 TQ epsilon, where TQ is the thickness of the stiffener, that is this one. Okay, so what they have given us in this formula, that maximum is, we can say, 20 TQ epsilon, and the minimum is this one, that is 14 TQ epsilon. That is the maximum and minimum width of stiffness criteria. If our width of stiffness is between them, between 14 TQ and 20 TQ, that is this one, then we can use the core section of 14 TQ epsilon. Core section means effective section. Okay, so first of all, just let's find 14 TQ epsilon and 20 TQ epsilon. On the basis of that, I will decide the width of the stiffener. Okay, just a minute. See, so for that one, see, don't see these dimensions first of all. Okay, first of all, let's cross check the dimension. Maximum outside of the stiffener, that is 20 TQ epsilon. TQ is, or I have assumed 16. 20 into 16, I got the answer 320. Okay, then just a minute. Then next one, that is 14 TQ epsilon. 14 into 16, I got the 224. Okay, so I need to decide my width between 224 and maximum, that is 320, but I cannot even take 320 because maximum space available is 317 over here. So I can take the dimension between 214 and 317 mm. Okay, so what we need to do, say I'm using the maximum dimension slab. Say maximum dimension is 317, say on an average 320, this one. Okay, so I'm using the 20 dimension slab. Say minus 20 300, minus 20 280, minus 20 260, up to the minimum is 224, right? Minus 20, that is 240, and minus 20, then I will get 220, but I will use 224. So I can maximum decide the dimensions, either say 1600 mm thickness is fixed. Okay, now talking about dimension, then I can take the width either 300 or 280 or 260 or 240. Even if you want to take 290, then also you can take. There is no such kind of criteria is there, but usually I follow 20 dimension slab with respect to maximum dimension. Okay, so I can take either 300 or we can say 280 or 260, even 240 also, even 290, 295, any dimension. So right now I am assuming as 280 cross 16 mm. I have taken the width of the stiffener, that is of 280 mm. It must be between 14 TQ epsilon, that is 14 TQ is 224, and we can say that is 20 TQ epsilon, that is we can say 320 mm. So it is in between these two, so I can say this one is my core section of 14 TQ epsilon. Okay, so this will become my core section. See, I have checked it over here. Try any pair of BQ cross TQ, that is 280 cross 16 mm. Okay, maximum outside of the stiffener 20 TQ, that is 320 greater than 280. Okay, outside of the core section 14 TQ epsilon, that is 2 to 4, which is less than we can say 280, hence okay. So now our coach condition is satisfied that 20 TQ epsilon is greater than BQ greater than 14 TQ epsilon. So use outside equals to 14 TQ epsilon, that is 14 TQ epsilon is 2 to 4. Means what? That out of 280 mm, 2 to 4 mm are those dimensions that we can say these are the effective, or we can say the core section which actually will carry the load. Okay, so let us draw the top view of the I section. See, this one is the top view of the I section. Let me show you over here, just a minute. See, this one is our I section. I'm going to provide stiffener at both places on the both side of the wave like this. This dimension is how much? So I have assumed 280 mm, right? 280. Then what I'm doing, I'm cutting down this one from the center and watching it from the top. So I will get to see the wave, that is this one, and both side flanges, both side stiffener, that is this one. Okay, so these are the criteria. So now what I have shown it in the figure, this one is my wave, see, thickness 16 mm, and these are my stiffener which I have provided on the both side, that is 280 cross 16 mm. Now out of this one only 2 to 4 mm are the spaces which is core section, which is effective section. This one is 2 to 4, that is 14 TQ epsilon, that is the effective section. And with respect to this one, wave is also will get effective of the dimension 20 times TW. TW is 16, 20 times 16, so I will get the answer, that is 320 mm. So ultimately we can see over here the highlighted portion, this one, say this is the actual portion which will carry out the load. Okay, so for that one what we need to know, we need to carry out its compressive strength. See, buckling resistance, just a minute. See, check for the buckling. So for the buckling resistance, FQD equals to effective area into FCD. Now effective area, see this one is nothing, we can say it is the formula of compressive strength, PD equals to A into FCD. We have done this one in the subject of ESD, or we can say DOS. Okay, so now first of all we need area as well as FCD. For talking about area, we already know that highlighted portions area we can easily calculate. Say this one 2 to 4 multiplied by 16, 2 times, okay, say 2 times 2 to 4 multiplied by 16, and this will be effective area of the wave, that is we can say 320 multiplied by 16. Okay, so ultimately I will get the effective area, that is 12,288 mm square. So I got the area, this one. Now I need the value of FCD. Now FCD means design compressive strength. So for that one we will need slenderness ratio, KL by RY. So for that one, FCD, design compressive strength, in order to find the FCD, find the following. So KL by RY, that is slenderness ratio, formula stands for 0.7 D by RY. Okay, so talking about D, that is depth of wave, that is 1800 mm. Now RYY, that is we can say radius of gyration, and radius of gyration's formula from the MOS we are using RY equals to root of IYY by A. Now so I will need area as well as IYY of the highlighted portion. Okay, say see highlighted portions area, we have already calculated area over here of this highlighted portions. Clear? We already have area of this one. Now I need to calculate its I, moment of inertia. So moment of inertia typical BD cube by 12. So first of all let's take these sections together. Say width is 16, depth 2 to 4, 2 to 4, and in this between 16. So we can say 16 plus 2 to 4 plus wave 16 plus 2 to 4 cube divided by 12, typical BD cube by 12. And then the remaining this one is 320, so this will be 320 minus we can say 16, so 304, and this one is 16, so 304 into 16 cube by 12, typical we can say BD cube by 12. Okay, first of all we need to take this verticals BD cube by 12 and then this horizontals BD cube by 12. Okay, so let's see, 16 plus 2 to 4 stiffness, 16 wave, 2 to 4 stiffness cube by 12 plus this one 320 minus 16 into 16 cube by 12. So by simplifying this one, I will get the IYY, that is 133.3 into 10 raised to 6 mm raised to 4. And area, we have already calculated area over here. You can see 12288. See 12288. So once I get the value of I as well as area, so Ry equals to root of I by I, 133.33, area this one. Let's put down this value over here, and simplifying this one, I will get 104.15 mm. So I got the Ry. Once I get the Ry, so now let's put down this value of Ry over here in this slenderness ratio. So see, KL by Ry equals to 0.7 D by Ry, 0.7 D 1800 Ry, that is we have got 104.15. so I got the answer 12.10. so now the slenderness ratio has come 12.10. now using table number 9C, by using the interpolation method, I can easily get the answer of FCD. So let's go to the code. KL by ratio is 12.1. just a minute. Table number 9C, page number 42. See, now over here table number 9C is there. Now KL by Ry ratio is 12.1, and over here these are the yield stress Fy, that is always taken as 250. so I am going to see it in the column of 250. 12.10, so ultimately it will be between 10 and 20. Its answer is 227. 10's answer is 227, 20's answer is 224. so if I am doing interpolation, then the difference 20 minus 10, 10, and over here 227 minus 224, that is 3. so at the difference of 10, value is 3.3. so we can say for 12.1 means for 2.1 it is how much? So it will be 6.3 divided by 10, so that will be 0.63, right? Then it will be deducted from 27, because as slenderness ratio increases, value of FCD decreases. So 227 minus 0.63, so I will get the answer 226 point, I think 37, yeah, 37, 226.37. that will be the value of FCD. Typical interpolation is there. Okay, let's back to the material. Yeah, see, 226.37 Newton by mm square. See, I have explained over here. KL by Ry 12.10, yield says Fy 250 Newton by mm square. Find FCD by interpolation method using this reference. So I got the FCD. Once I get the FCD, so now I can get the buckling strength. Say FQD equals to effective area into FCD. Area 12288, and FCD, that is 226.37. so I got the answer 2781.63 into 10 raised to 3 Newton. So 2781.63 or 64 kilonewton. This answer must be greater than Vz. What does this answer indicate? That the wave along with the two pair of stiffeners which we have provided, say 280 cross 16 mm, it will carry out, or it can sustain the load of 2781 kilonewton, and it must be greater than Vz. That was our requirement, I think 2100 kilonewton, 2160 kilonewton, I think. Okay, which is greater than that one, then okay. If this condition doesn't satisfied, then you need to change your dimension, means you need to increase the width of the stiffener. Okay, but over here our condition is satisfied, hence okay. So stiffener is safe in the bearing. Okay, now what next to do? That we need to join the stiffener along with the web using the welding, and in order to provide the welding, we need to provide the we can say chamfer to the web. See, usually in the previous figure we can see over here that the surface of the web is flat, as well as the stiffener is also flat. So if you are going to provide the welding, then it will need a somewhat slope, or we can say the chamfer, to provide the welding. So in order to provide welding, what we need to do, we need to cut. See, it was like this, but now the shape of the stiffener will be like this. Okay, so this extra portion, that is known as chamfer. So we need to cut 15 mm as a chamfer from the dimensions of the stiffener, and for that one we need to provide the bearing strength of the end stiffener. Okay, so for that one A formula is there in the code. See what will happen, that once we cut the area of the stiffener, its cross sectional area will be decreased, and as area will be decreased, so obviously its strength will be decreased. Make sure that this decreased strength must be greater than Vz, which is our requirement. Okay, so let's go to the code. For that one, formula is given on page number 68. See 8.7.5.2 bearing check. Load carrying wave stiffener should be on the sufficient size of the bearing stiffener. Then bearing strength of the stiffener FPSD formula is given over here. AQ FIQ should be divided by 0.8 gamma m0 should be greater or equals to Fx. Barabar? Fx, that is external load or reaction, that is nothing, you can say Vz. AQ, area of the stiffener in contact with the flange, means area of stiffener. And FIQ, that is yield strength of the stiffener, that is 250 Newton per mm square. Okay, so let's get back to the calculation. So now our formula stands for FPSD equals to AQ FIQ divided by 0.8 gamma m0, where AQ, that is area of the stiffener. Okay, so for that one, as we have cut the 15 mm dimensions from the stiffener, our stiffener's dimension was 280 cross 16, but this time as we have cut the 15 mm as a chamfer, then 15 mm will be minus from this one. So ultimately 280 minus 15 multiplied by 16, that is the area of one stiffener. As we have provided the pair of the stiffener, so it will be multiplied by 2. So ultimately AQ will be 8480 mm square. That's the criteria of the FPSD. Okay, now let's put down this value AQ in this formula. That is 8480, FIQ, that is 250 divided by 0.8, and gamma m0, that is 1.10. So I will get the answer 2409.09 into 10 raised to 3 Newton. So let's convert it into kilonewton. 2409.09 kilonewton. Okay, now what does this indicate? See, first of all, we have calculated the strength of the stiffener, that was this one, 2781. So it was capable of carrying the strength of 2781 kilonewton. Now as we are reducing the dimensions of the stiffener by providing this 15 mm chamfer, its cross section area is decreasing, so ultimately its strength will be decreasing from this one, from 2781. This strength has come now to 2409 kilonewton. Okay, it was earlier 2781, so ultimately we got this strength. Okay, now this decreased strength must be greater than Vz. Vz means we can say our reaction, that is 2160. It is greater than that one, hence okay. So the size of the stiffener which we have chosen, say 280 cross 16 mm, is sufficient to carry out the shear load of 2160 kN. So this one is the design of end bearing stiffener. And as we have checked the strength of the stiffener, initially we should also check the moment of inertia, or we can say the torsional restraint provided by the end stiffener. So for that one we will go to the step number 10, this one, check for the torsional restraint provided by end stiffener. And for this one, see, this criteria is given to us in the code. Okay, step number 10, page number 68. So let's go to the check. First of all, in the code, see, on the same page of page number 68, clauses given to us 8.7.9 torsional stiffener. Okay, so for that one they have given to us condition is should be greater or equals 0.34 alpha s d cube TCF. Now, so talking about the unknown parameters, first of all, alpha s, three conditions are given to us on the basis of the LLD by RY ratio less or equals to 50, between 50 and 100, then we can say greater than 100. Okay, so on the base of this ratio I will get the value of alpha s. Then just a minute, just a minute. Then D, that is overall depth of the beam at the support, means ultimately total depth of the plate girder. Okay, TCF, that is thickness of flange. that is maximum thickness of the compression flange. So we have all the data except alpha s, and for alpha s we need to carry out the ratio of LLD by Ry. Okay, and this one is the IS, that means moment of inertia carried by the end stiffener. So let's check this data. Just a minute. Let's go back to the material. See, as per page number 68, the formula stands for IS should be greater or equals to 0.34 alpha s d cube TCF. Okay, talking about unknown parameter d, overall depth of plate girder, I think it was 1900 mm. Okay, 50-50 flange thickness and 1800 web thickness. TCF, thickness of flange, that was 50 mm. So we have already D and TCF. Talking about alpha s, as we discussed in the code, we need to carry out the LLD by Ry ratio. For that one, LLD, that is we can say the length of the simply supported beam of the plate girder, that was 24 meters span. So let's convert it into mm, 24,000 mm. Ry, that is radius of gyration. Okay, and for the radius of gyration, formula is always there, that is root of I by A. Okay, now Ry, that is root of I by A. Now Ryy, that is moment of inertia of the entire section of plate girder with respect to y axis, and A stands for area of the entire section of the plate girder, means I section's area as well as moment of inertia with respect to y axis. So let's get back to the figure which we have drawn in the step numbers 3, I think. Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about area of this I section. We can easily say, see, top flange and bottom flange area, that is 650 multiplied by 50, 2 times, just a minute, 2 times 650 multiplied by 50 plus area of the wave, that is this one, that is 1800 multiplied by 16. So this will be the area of the stiffener. Clear? Then talking about Iyy, that is we can say dB cube by 12. So both flange dB cube by 12, this will be, we can say this one is D, this one is B. So dB cube by 12, so 50 into 650 cube by 12 with respect to y axis, that's why, multiply by 2, that is top flange and bottom flange. And talking about y, means wave, again dB cube by 12, D is 1800 into, we can say width, that is 16 cube by 12. So this will be moment of inertia, that is Iyy. So we have calculated Iyy as well as area of this section. Okay, let's go back to the calculation. See, area of the plate girder, 2 times flange, 2 times 650 multiplied by 50, and wave 1800 multiplied by 60. So answer is 93800 mm square. Talking about Iyy, that is this one, moment of inertia of the entire section with respect to y axis, that is 2 times 50 into 650 cube by 12, that is of flange dimension, and we can say wave dimension 1800 into 16 cube by 12. So ultimately I will get the answer 2289.16 into 10 raised to 6 mm raised to 4. So once I get the value of Iyy and we can say area, so we can say Ry equals to root of I by A. So let's put down this value Iy, that is 2289.16 into 10 raised to 6, area 93800. So ultimately I will get the answer 156.22 mm. That's the value of Ry. And we have already calculated LLD, that is L, span of plate girder, 24,000 mm. So let's do the ratio of LLD by Ry. 24,000 divided by Ry, that is 156.22. So I got the answer 153.62, which is greater than 100. So ultimately third condition will be there. See, this one is our third condition, which is greater than 100. So formula is this one, 30 divided by LLD by Ry square. So alpha s, 30 divided by LLD bar y square. So LLD bar y, that is 153.62 square. So ultimately answer is 12.71 into 10 raised to minus 4. That's the value of alpha s. So now I can calculate the IS. Formula stands for 0.34 alpha s d cube TCF. 0.34 alpha s 12.71 into 10 raised to minus 4 d 1900 cube, and TCF, that is thickness of flange, that is 50. So ultimately I will get the answer, that is 148.21 into 10 raised to 6 mm raised to 4. See, what does this mean? That we can say this much moment of inertia is produced in the our plate girder. So this one will be our requirement. Now the stiffener which we have provided, it must resist this moment of inertia. Okay, so we will calculate the moment of inertia of the stiffener about the center line. We can say moment of inertia of the stiffener. So for that one we need to go to the figure of this one. Just a minute. Yeah, now we need to consider the whole area of the stiffener, that is this one as well as this one. Okay, and along with weight I can, as it is connected to wave, so I will take the stiffener is means this entire section, this one. So its moment of inertia, that will be BDQ by 12. B is 16, D, that is 280 plus 280 plus this 16 cube by 12. Okay, so see, 16 multiplied by depth, that is 280 plus 16 plus 280 cube by 12. So ultimately I got the answer 254.8 into 10 raised to 6 mm raised to 4. What does this indicate? That the stiffener which we have designed can resist the moment of inertia of this much. It must be greater than the moment of inertia requirement which we got over here, that was 148.21 into 10 raised to 6, and we got the answer 254.8 into 10 raised to 6 mm raised to 4. Okay, and okay, our condition is satisfied. So ultimately end stiffener has necessary torsional restraint. Okay, so guys, whenever you have been asked to design end bearing stiffener, you need to do the step number 9, that is design of end bearing stiffener, this one. Just a minute. Design of end load bearing stiffener, this one, and check of this one, that is step number 10, check for the torsional restraint provided by the end stiffener. Okay, this individually 2 steps have been asked in the 7 marks for 2 to 3 times in the GTU examination. Okay, now I will cover the remaining steps in the next video. Okay, myself Assistant Professor Gaurang Prajapati signing off.